All right, folks, welcome back. You haven't seen me before. I am Manoj Chopra. I'm the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. I help Dean Georgopoulos with the college, and we're going to have an exciting industry panel now for you. We did this upstairs, so they've had the warm-up, and now this is the real show, I guess. So let me bring up David Grimm, Senior Vice President, NBCUniversal Destinations and Experiences. Next, David Heskey, Director, Lockheed Martin. Next, I'm going to pause a little bit. It's got a 08 next to it. That means he's a graduate of ours, and actually he was in my class a while ago in statics. So I'm very proud of Jamar Ignacio, Vice President, L3Harris. Next is Ken Kishia, Vice President, Leidos. And last, but we've learned upstairs, not the least, Tanya Klingen, Head, Innovation Center, Siemens Energy. So we will begin with, you've heard me introduce their affiliation and name, but we want to know more about them and their organization. So let's go ahead and begin with, and I think you have microphones with you. Yep, we'll have to share a couple of them. So let's begin with David Grimm.
Hi, everyone. I head up a group called Business Analytics and Industrial Engineering at Universal Destinations and Experiences. If you haven't heard of Universal Destinations and Experiences before, it's a new name. It used to be Parks and Resorts, so think of the parks. Everything parks, and then we're doing new things, so that's why there was a name change. I've been in the theme park business 36 years now, which is actually surprising to me, but over 10 years at Disney, 8 in Orlando, a couple years in Paris, France, and then I've been at Universal for the past 25 years. I have a team that's fairly broad in responsibility, revenue management, pricing analytics, everything related to labor planning, all the way down to staffing optimization for venues. And our work is advanced analytics around those areas. The third area that we support is any kind of new ventures, any new parks, new development from a capacity planning standpoint. So everything from deciding how big the park should be, how many restaurants, how many attractions, all the way down to I have a simulation modeling team that works with our Universal Creative group to actually design the attraction and develop it in a computer simulation model. Generally, what you would think of industrial engineering, process improvement, and then lastly, environmental sustainability is a relatively new area of responsibility for my team. I'm excited to be here. I did mention in the other group that it was very exciting to be here in general. It's reminding me of when my kids were deciding where to go to school. So I can absolutely relate to the not only the excitement, but the stress that you guys are having in making that decision. So,
good morning, everybody. I lead up our engineering strategy group for our training and logistics division of Lockheed Martin. And so that has the research and development teams that are looking at core technologies, commercial technologies, video game tech, and how do we take that and put it into simulators to allow our warfighters to train for missions or learn how to fly an aircraft or drive a tank. So, the way I describe it is our engineers get to take the problems that commercial industry is solving and then take it one more level, right? How do we model the entire world? How do we model everything accurately, right? It's not just a video game. They need to learn how to shoot the way they're going to shoot in battle, right? And so accuracy is everything. And so the problem space becomes a little bit more difficult. We need to push everything up to the next degree, if you will. And so it's a really exciting team, right? They get to work on, like I said, not just the defense space, but they're partnered closely with the commercial world and those commercial techs. Also very excited to be here. I'm surrounded by UCF grads every day in my job, and excited to represent Lockheed here.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Jamar Ignacio, Vice President of Functional Engineering for our Space and Airborne Systems segment at L3Harris. And in this role, I really lead a very talented group of engineers, 8,000 engineers and scientists in solving our nation's most critical problems. Our goal is really to bring you and our warfighters home safely every day. I started my career actually working in our mission networks area, working on an FAA system where we were focused on how we get people home safely in Alaska through our small flight service stations there. I've moved into areas both in space, supporting small sats, hosted payload programs, and then large exquisite weather payload programs in space. And then from there went into our intel and cyber business. So we say space and airborne, but we also support intelligence and cyber within the segment of L3 Harris that I represent. And in that space, it's mostly classified, but we do both defensive cyber security work as well as offensive computer network operations. Moved from there to work in the F-35 area, which is in our airborne platform, 5th generation, air power for the world. And L3 Harris builds the essential electronic brains of the F-35 platform, the aircraft memory system, panoramic cockpit display, and the integrated core processor within the F-35 platform. And most recently from there, I've moved into this role where I'm supporting our segment, helping to build out the processes, really to organize, train, and equip our engineering staff globally. So I'm excited to be here, excited for your questions, and ultimately I can relate with the journey. Having been a UCF grad, this is really the launch point for many of you in the room, and there's really a bright future ahead. It's all about making sure that you take in the most from each moment and really chart your course here as you're at UCF.
Good morning, great to be here. My name is Ken Keisha, and I lead customer service and digital experience at Leidos. It's a corporate IT function. Before that, I led sales and marketing. I've done industry consulting. I'm a naval nuclear engineer by trade. And my background really is hardcore engineering. I got my degree in electrical engineering, nuclear engineering, industrial and systems engineering. I'm a licensed professional engineer. And now I'm a senior leader in an organization. So I don't do a lot of hardcore engineering, but what I do is take that structured and disciplined approach to problem solving and apply it to real-world challenges with customers and missions. Leidos is an innovation company, and we rapidly address challenges, complex challenges in national security and health. Our mission is to make the world safer, healthier, more efficient through science, technology, and engineering. So this partnership with the College of Engineering and Computer Science is super, super relevant to our overall company mission. We do really a lot of cool things. We've got, our mantra is from space to the seafloor. So we're working on the Lunar Terrain Vehicle, partnering with NASCAR. We work at the International Space Station with cargo missions and structural analysis. On land, we're supporting the Antarctic Support Contract, which is one of the longest supply chains in the world. We run the National Cancer Institute, searching for a cure for cancer. And we build autonomous ships and drones and hypersonic weapons. And all of this is embedded in this science, technology, and engineering work. If you've traveled here for this meeting, or if you've traveled recently, you've probably gone through our scanners at the airport. I'm not so sure I should be proud of that, but we've got all the passenger scanners, the cargo scanners, and I thank Jamar from L3 Harris for divesting that business for us.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tanya Klingen, and I work for Siemens Energy. And I am not a UCF graduate, but hey, guess what? My boss is, and he's a member of the board. So he got his undergraduate and his master's from UCF. So we are in your backyard. We're just around the corner. The company that I work for powers 1/6 of the world's power. And through gas turbines, steam turbines, wind turbines, industrial processes. But I have the part of the role that hasn't been developed yet. So at the Innovation Center, my role is to find that 40% of technologies that haven't been developed yet, scale it and bring it into the business. Think green technologies, decarbonization, alternative fuels, those kinds of things. We're funded by R&D as well as external funding, including from the Department of Energy and the Inflation Reduction Act. And we have 4, and I think I forgot to mention this in the last panel, but we're supposed to be better on this one now that we're warmed up. We've got 4 innovation centers in Shenzhen, China, Berlin, Germany, in Abu Dhabi, in the UAE, and then also here in Orlando in the US. So it's a real privilege to be here. Our best employees, including my boss, come from UCF, so I have a lot of thoughts about why I think as you're making this really tough decision and a really pivotal decision, why it should be UCF. So thanks.
Thank you, everybody. And as you can see, you've got a diversity of thought and opinions here, also organizations. But is this all that UCF has partnership with? No. We work in all of the different areas of engineering, computer science. You must have seen from the overview, we're also looking at things like coastal engineering. We're looking at the construction areas, the future of smart cities and connected systems, all of those areas. And so I can tell you that our goal continues to be on the cutting edge of the next generation of knowledge. And you saw strategic areas that the Dean may have presented, looking at AI or cybersecurity in all of these areas. But let's go back to this panel for now, and I'm going to switch up the questions again because I think we learned a little bit before. So we'll talk about the idea of what is the kind of engineer you're looking for, or computer scientist, engineer or computer scientist. Can you describe the attribute of a potential student intern or employee for your corporation, considering the diversity of skills that they bring to you? For example, not just a good GPA or academics, but good technical skills, good insight, hands-on experience, and a holistic person. A leader, naturally, and you've seen how we develop leaders with ELI squared. So let's go ahead and begin with you, Tanya.
I think this was one of our favorite questions, and we were even chatting in the break a little more about this. So certainly getting a degree is important, and certainly an engineering degree gives you an edge. And I think we're all not so particular on what kind of engineering degree it is, and I think it's more attitude over aptitude. You got to have a baseline set of smarts, this is for sure, but we're talking a lot about, do you treat the problem that's on your desk as a student, as an intern, as an employee, do you treat it like you would if it was a problem you were dealing with in your personal life? Say you had a leaky faucet or something, you wouldn't just say, oh, bummer, hope somebody fixes that. You'd go figure it out. And you figure out the first step, and the secondary step, and the one after that. And bring that perspective that you own the problem and that you're finding a solution to fix it. I think if I want you to remember one thing today, it's that bringing that spirit of making it about helping other people and fixing problems and not being so worried about taking the credit for it, I think that'll serve you really well. But I know my colleagues have some really good acronyms to chip in on what we should be thinking about when we're looking for students.
Thank you, Tanya. Ken?
Yeah, I'd like to start with the 3 H's. Just kidding. No, actually, what I say all the time is PQ plus EQ is greater than IQ, right? So passion quotient plus emotional quotient is greater than intelligence quotient. You want somebody that's passionate and committed and invested and always looking to grow and always looking to challenge themselves and the teams and the people that they're working with. And that emotional quotient is more about interpersonal skills and how do you interact with others, how do you work in a team, because working in a team is absolutely essential. We have certain core values at Leidos that we tout and we embrace them: innovation, agility, commitment, integrity. And those are in our DNA and everything that we do. And so when we're looking for candidates coming into Leidos, that's exactly what we're looking for. The other thing I would just quickly highlight, another core value is diversity. And we always want that diversity of thought and opinion, race, gender, affiliation, all of that. We want all of that in our mix.
So my colleague alluded to my 3 H's, which those are the way I look at resumes. And there's a book written on it. You can go search it, right? 3H leadership. It's humility, humble, right? Hungry, and hustle. But in the spirit of mixing things up, I'm going to add a 4th H that one of my bosses actually appended a few years back. Horses that win races. Okay, so let me just touch on each one very quickly. So first, we talk about leaders, right? Any problem that you have to solve in engineering, any problem that you have to solve in life, that means it's a problem. You're gonna have to encounter some adversity. You're gonna have to encounter some challenge. There's gonna be something insurmountable about that problem that makes it worthy of paying you to solve it, right? So when you're working to solve that problem, there is no way in industry that you can solve the types of problems that we encounter on your own. You have to work as a team. In order to work as a team, you need the quality or trait of humility. Not that you shouldn't have confidence, but I look for experienced candidates that have an aura of humility. They're people that you genuinely want to work with because they genuinely want to hear what you have to say as you're solving these very challenging problems. Second, two parts really go into your hunger and your drive, right? So humble, hungry. You've got to actually have a drive that pushes you to push through all the adversity that you're going to face on the way, and then it goes right into the hustle. You've got to have something that forces you to think about this problem, to noodle over this problem, to keep driving at how you solve this, even when it seems insurmountable, even when maybe the rest of your team is saying that we're just not going to make it. So the 3 H's are things that I look for. There's experiences that I'll look for when I talk to candidates that prove that they've picked up on these 3 H's. And then the last one that I threw out there is horses that win races. I look for people that are actually winners. It's one thing to say that I've worked very hard, right? But in the end, we have to solve the problem. We have to close. And closing is not something that's to be taken lightly. You'll all know it, and you've seen it in your own lives. That last 10%, that last 20% typically takes 80% of the effort. And I'm looking for people that have actually finished. It's one thing to be done, but are you done? Are you completely through with what it took to get this put into place, institutionalized, and in a manner that we're not going to go back on it in the next five months, 5 years, 50 years from here on out? So I'm looking for people that are actually closers, horses that have won the race when I look for students. And I find that in students that come from UCF.
I think what you're hearing from us is we're looking for folks that don't back down from a challenge, right? That have this intrinsic desire to solve problems, and big problems, and that means being able to work with a team, right? And so I think that's key. I think the other piece is we're looking for folks that are willing to spread out of their specific discipline, right? Sometimes you'll hear the reference to a T-based engineer, right? That's somebody that has a breadth of engineering, but also then a depth within a specific field, right? I didn't go into my background, but I have a background in computer science, but I've held a variety of engineering roles, software systems, cyber within Lockheed Martin, and my story is not unique, right? I'm willing to go take on a challenge, and my team members are willing to go take on a challenge, and the fields are we can connect with experts within the field, I'll put it that way, right, to solve those problems. And so it's really just about having that breadth and having that desire to work with others to solve tough things.
Okay, so one of the benefits of being last, everybody's already said it. But so many of the things I said are absolutely applied to me, but you made me asking, well, how do you know? How do you know that? And the key thing for me and what I'm looking at is some prior experience. For a new candidate just out of school, internships are critical. And if you had the internship in my department, then we've had visibility in all the things that everyone mentioned here. I see those and I can make the choice. And I would say probably 90% of the interns that I have get hired. The other thing, and I think David was mentioning it, is the breadth of the degree, really looking at the degree. So I hire a lot of different engineers, a lot of different degrees, but specifically like for industrial engineering, keeping up with the times. UCF does that as the technology changes and broadening the scope of what that curriculum looks like. I know what I'm getting from UCF, and I hire people from all over the country, 20 different states, different countries, and so on. So that's really the important thing for me.
Thank you all. Let me close this question with a couple of comments of my own. Our programs at UCF are designed, the curriculum itself, to create this holistic engineer, or computer scientist, because we allow you, as you saw in our overview, to be in the lab, the creative lab, to come up with the limitless type solutions, as you saw with the arms. Or we put you in environments that you're developing the next generation of thought or programs, etc. But we're also very careful in making sure that we develop your skills for communication, for leadership, for presentation, so that you are ready for the actual real world. And then the internship, and we'll have more questions about those, prepares you already to be immersed in that or engaged with that environment and work in that. So the next question is the question of the day, which is why we're all here. Students have a lot of choices when they decide which college to attend. What are some of the main reasons that in your opinion, a student should choose UCF and CECS? Let's start with David.
Okay, sure. Oh no, did I turn it on? Okay, there it's on. Good. I'm sure in your journey to make a decision, you're asking yourself what school is better and how do I know? And somebody says UCF's better, but how is it better than a different engineering program? And I can tell you I've had the experience. So like I mentioned, I hired people from all the top schools in the country, very diverse in that respect. Probably 30% of my team is from UCF. I have a former professor who's a direct report of mine. And then interns, probably half of the interns I hire from UCF. And I see no difference. I have kids from Ivy League schools and other top schools, and I don't see a difference, and sometimes I see the opposite. I see a superior difference in the folks that I get from UCF. A lot from the training and the curriculum that they get here. So.
I think of three things when I think about UCF. I think of the rigor of the curriculum, right? And the engineers that I see come out of the UCF programs have both that depth, but also have a broad understanding of the field of engineering. Also look at the location, right? You're in Orlando, you're in a city that has just a wide variety of industry, right? From theme parks to the defense industry to a lot of government agencies, right? All working with this university. And then the third one is the focus on experience-based learning, right? And you'll hear it in our discussions about internships and CWEPs and research projects. And UCF's really focused on getting students out working with industry, which is key when we're looking at resumes and things like that, right? We want students that we know what it's like to work a day in industry.
Yeah, so I don't want to repeat the same things. We've heard such good answers already, but I'll add in the power or strength of the alumni network. He touched on it a little bit as we started, but 20 plus of our executives at L3 Harris are UCF grads. When I walk into one of their offices, any of their offices, we have access, of course, but I know that they've been through some common ground with me, and it's a great starting point for a conversation, a great starting point for career conversations. Some of the presidents that I've worked for within my segment were UCF grads. So the alumni network is very strong from UCF. And then I'll just touch on the relationship and the partnership a little bit. I've mentioned I'm an executive at a fairly large segment, large population of employees that work with me. And I know the names of the UCF interns that we had last summer. I named them in the first session. I'll protect the innocent in this session. But the fact that I know the names of them, I know what's happening with their families. We kept on many of them even after the internship program. Some of them still come over to work 2 days a week with us. I don't know the names of our grads at some of the other schools. I won't name them either, right? That intern with us. We have over 200 interns in the summer. Along those lines, I'll also say the location, when you look at the industry diversity that you have here in Central Florida, it's bar none. It's really great. Other industries would kill to have conferences hosted in their backyard like you see here in Orlando. So just know, we're not hosting these conferences in Gainesville. We're here strategically in Central Florida And the partnership with UCF is something that really, really solidifies this university as a top-tier university.
That's going to be tough to follow. So I'm new to the UCF Industry Advisory Board. I've only been on this about 2 months, but I have to admit I am incredibly impressed by the caliber of the students and the faculty that we've worked with. Leidos has had a partnership with UCF for decades, and the interns that we bring in to our office, which is literally a half a mile south of here in the Tech Research Park, has been extremely impressive. And just like Jamar, I've got a number of senior leaders throughout our organization that are UCF alum. One of the executive vice presidents that I worked for, didn't work for, and now I work for him again, is a very proud UCF alum. So they bring a very strong caliber of individual to organizations like us that are looking for that top talent in science, technology, and engineering.
Not much to build on after all of that, which I completely agree with. So Siemens Energy, we are, I think you're closer, you're a half mile. I think I'm over on Research Parkway, so I'm about a mile away. But our headquarters for North America is across the street on Alafaya Trail. And I think we were talking about this in the last panel. I think in particular what draws, so I want to work and do partner with UCF. We have a long-standing history. I have a lab on campus that we helped fund. We have interns and many UCF grads. And I think what sets UCF apart for me as an executive, I have employees that work for me that are Ivy League graduates, have gone to Columbia, have gone to MIT, have gone to Duke University. And I think there is a thing about a UCF grad where not everything has come handed on a silver platter. There is an understanding of how the world works. UCF grads that work for us at Siemens Energy are more pragmatic. They have to be a little more creative. Things aren't so, it's more than just book smarts when you hire a UCF grad. And most of our executive lineup, a lot of our executive lineup has graduated from UCF, and we continue this fantastic partnership that is really helping my company lead the energy transition and bringing all those new and fresh and bright ideas that we're just not seeing at a lot of other universities. That's a differentiating factor for us.
Thank you. You've heard a couple of themes in there. One is internships, practical experiences, but you've also heard the words research park in there. One of the disadvantages of me being upstairs, the dean down here, is I'm not sure what he's already told you. So I might repeat a few things, but the research park is an outstanding group of companies where I think literally modeling and simulation capital of the United States is right there. And so a lot of work gets done. Cybersecurity, I've been to certain facilities in there that have walls as big as this wall with live attempts at the United States cyber attempts. And it is incredible to see, and students get the chance to go there. That's a difference, that uniqueness that our location gives us that will be hard to get somewhere else. So, you're seeing, for example, in the dean's presentation, you should have seen our partners, and you saw SpaceX, you saw Blue Origin, of course NASA. But what that doesn't say is our students are doing the Artemis project. They are actually preparing a lot of the payloads. They're working on a lot of the hands-on things. And that's just one industry, aerospace. We're looking at so many others. That's what sets us apart. They are the next generation of the F-16. My favorite at the end over there, I know we have NBCUniversal here, but we also have Disney Imagineering. They're competitors, but those are the exciting areas where you can be working as an engineer or a computer scientist. And if you're interested in developing virtual reality code, or you're looking at the next generation of gaming, we again have in our downtown campus the gaming industry capital in partnership with EA Sports. So all of these areas. So let's go to the next question. And we'll go to the one that I asked off the cuff last time, but I think it is a good one. what kind of engineers and computer scientists are you looking for specifically? Go ahead, Tanya.
All of them. So, and we had another great discussion about this, so I'll just briefly get it started. It is important that you get a degree, but there is a whole lot more to the story that we're looking for, that an engineering degree can open a door to let you step in, but then it ends up what you doing with it, what you do with it once you end up walking through that door. And at Siemens Energy, we're an engineering company. Yep, you can do great engineering your whole career, but guess what else you can do? You can lead procurement. You can lead human resources. You can lead our communications team. The door is wide open, and an engineering degree does not limit you to only doing great engineering work, but leadership work as well.
Yeah, when I was doing my intro and talking about my career with all the engineering and then all the functional roles I've had, it just shows that it helps you get in the door. The interdisciplinary skills that you need that a university like UCF will give you are essential. When I think about specifically College of Engineering and Computer Science, it's all of them as well. I mean, we've got our energy, commercial energy and critical infrastructure business based here in Orlando. So substation design engineering, power transmission. We have our modeling and simulation business here. You think interactive media game design, building Halo for the warfighter. And that takes a lot of different computer science, visual arts, hardware, many, many, many different skills. So I would echo that, you know, engineering is the way you open the door, and once you get the door open, it's up to you to take it where you want.
Right. Yeah, I'll echo those comments and also say, you know, very specifically, we hire in my area for mechanical, aerospace, electrical, software, which is computer science and computer engineering typically, and then systems engineering. We don't hire a lot of new grads in the systems engineering, but it highlights what we're saying here, the interdisciplinary part of being an engineer. You know, the challenges lie on the interfaces between the disciplines. And we're heavily focused on creating those T-shaped engineers, those that have a breadth of engineering experience across the disciplines, but then depth in a specific area. So go get that depth. Go learn your core engineering discipline. I'm not going to tell you which one's better than the other. And then, you know, help us help you put on that breadth across the various disciplines so that you can live in the problem space, so that you can live in those interfaces between those disciplines.
Yeah, our experiences are the world's becoming a more integrated place, right? Every problem we solve requires a, you know, multidisciplinary engineer, right? Or at least a team of multidisciplinary engineers. And so, you know, I think we're looking to hire all of them, right? And again, those that can communicate across the different spectrums of engineering. Software is on everything now, right? Systems of systems are being integrated together. And so whether that's in commercial industry, defense, it really, you know, look for that breadth of engineering, and you know, you can't go wrong in choosing a specific major.
I'll repeat a little bit about what the others have mentioned, but for my team specifically, I hire a broad range of engineers: mechanical, civil, electrical, primarily industrial systems engineers. As the technology and data is expanding, you know, a lot of analytics degrees on top of engineering degrees. I was going to say, because my bachelor's is in chemical engineering, my master's is in industrial engineering and operations research. And I was going to say not chemical, but chemical has a lean to environmental. So we do actually have a couple chemical engineers related to environmental sustainability. So.
Thank you very much. Some of the Leidos, again, reminds me of a Netflix special. They do so much, and it's all so exciting because it's, didn't you say something about mining of, so very, very interesting applications for all of these folks. And again, I'll repeat what I said earlier. There are many other industries, there are many other disciplines that are not represented here. There's a mention of industrial engineering. Industrial engineering has the slogan that we don't really do anything, we just make things better. I think, wasn't that something like that? But there are, you've got the environment now, and of course we're very, very much focused on the environment. All of these folks have that mandate as well to look at sustainability, and maybe we'll get a chance to ask a question or two about that. My next question is an interesting one. We had a sort of a funny discussion upstairs, but I'm going to ask it anyways. The dean had some numbers on how UCF has positioned itself to be a minority institution. We have 43% minorities. We also have a designated status as a Hispanic serving institution. Just like FIU, we are. And so we have these mandates, and we try to help access and growth of all of the people. And then one of the things that I'll mention that's a little bit sensitive is that in 30 years of teaching here, I have found that some of my best students, most of my best students, are women. And therefore, it is important for us, for the success of our future and for our country, to encourage women in engineering and computer science. And the dean has led this effort from the beginning of his career. He has funded programs in women in engineering and computer science. And so I'm going to base my next question on how does your organization value and develop these three areas: minorities in engineering, women in engineering, and then Hispanic serving. David, let's start with you.
I think in general, any of the protected groups, any of the groups that you mentioned are very important for us. Diversity is part of our DNA. We're not perfect at it. We have visions. We have things that we've put into place over the last couple of years to better facilitate the things that we're doing and do a better job. I have talked with the dean many times about our desire to have more diverse groups. My team in general has got half or little half are women. And I have every protected class at some level represented in the groups. And then from just a general diversity, I'd mentioned before, it's important for me to get people from different universities across the country and some across the world. So it's a very important part of what we do. I look to do, given that UCF has such a diverse culture of students, it's such a great thing for us because that pool of resources is here.
Yeah, I think the diversity is so important, right? And it's obviously a focus of our company, and I think probably everybody up here. And it's because we're looking to form diverse teams, right, to get that diversity of thought in solving a problem, right? We're solving problems that haven't been solved before, right? Probably all of us up here, right? Those are what our teams are chartered to go do. And so you really need folks that have different backgrounds, different experiences, different cultures, right, that think fundamentally about how problems are solved differently. And then be able to communicate that with others to come up with the best solution. And so it's always a focus, and I think it will be for all of us.
So in industry, we're leading, we're working in diverse teams, and at UCF, you get the opportunity to do that now. You don't have to wait. You can go learn how to work with teams that challenge your thought patterns, that challenge your perspectives in the way you see the problems that are in front of you. I personally lead our LEAD, that's the name of the actual organization. We have employee resource groups at L3 Harris, and I'm the executive sponsor for our L3 Harris Employees of African Descent organization. We have a friend of Angel Crespo. He leads our Society for Hispanic Engineers. We got one of my very close friends leads our Women in Engineering organization at L3 Harris. So, we are absolutely focused in industry on building out the diversity. And when we come to an organization like UCF, we know that we're going to a place that feeds into that teaches that enables that, and that ensures that every engineer coming out of the program has worked in an environment of diverse teams.
At Leidos, we have the exact same thing with employee resource groups. We probably have about a dozen of them. I mean, February is Black History Month. We got the Bay Awards this month. That's Black Engineer of the Year Award. And we're very committed to that diversity. And we also have a new ERG called YPN, Young Professionals Network. And so you get in the college interns and the recent college graduates. And to be a member of YPN, you don't have to just be in that group. You can also be an ally. So for our dozen ERGs, I'm a member of some, and I'm an ally of the others. Unfortunately, I'm not a member of YPN, but I'm an ally of them. And so we really are committed to that diversity.
So for me, diversity is important to me personally, but it also is important professionally. And it's not just, it is differences in skin color, gender, race and religion, but it's also diversity of thought and the differences that you come to the table with from your background and your unique experiences. And it's not lip service. I already know what I know. I need to learn what I don't know. And the only way to do that is to listen to somebody that's got a perspective different than mine. So apply that in your daily, whatever university you go to. But I'd like to pose a question and just popcorn the answers out. I'm here on a mission. Would anybody like to take a guess? So Siemens Energy has a certain percentage of women in leadership roles within the company. Would anybody like to guess what that percentage is? So of all the managers in the company, what percentage of these leadership roles are held by women? 40%. I wish. Anyone else? 10%? 10%? 25. 12%. So I'm here on a mission because Siemens Energy has a goal of 25% of our leadership will be filled by women by 2025. So I'm looking around the room. When are y'all going to graduate from UCF? Because UCF has done an amazing job of bringing the kind of candidate that's not just a great engineer, but also has leadership potential to the company I work for.
Thank you. And we'll take you up on your challenge, and we'll prepare all these people, men included. I'm not leaving you out. You all have to be ready as well, but women for sure. So I think we are at the 12 o'clock mark, which leaves me with 15 minutes for audience questions. Michael over there will help me run around, and we've got one eager gentleman right here, so let's begin.
You got the second H, the hunger.
Hunger.
Hey, my name is Patrick Forsyth, and I'm doing a major in aerospace engineering, and I wanted to particularly work or do research in propulsion. So I was just wondering what type of minors or what type of experience I should get to specifically go into that industry, particularly with, they mentioned earlier getting a math minor, or whether I should get maybe a business minor, or if it's maybe better to get a different type of master's degree.
Jamar, you want to take that one?
I'd say make sure that you come out with some experience. Go intern, right? At O3 Harris, we've recently acquired Aerojet Rocketdyne, and it's right up your alley for every aerospace engineer. Right? Make sure you get the experiences. That's what you've heard across this panel. I won't tell you specifically what to go minor in. Make sure, just like I tell every new grad coming into L3 Harris, you take care of your day job, right? So knock your major out of the park. Make sure you're doing fantastic in that regard. Keep your GPA high. Do all the things that you know you should do there. But at the end of the day, when you come out, make sure you come out with experience in industry, because that's going to give you the leg that you're going to need up to actually go and be a competent engineer in the field.
David has.
Yeah, I'll just add, pick the minor that you're passionate about, because I don't think you can go wrong, right? There's business aspects to anything to do with propulsion, right? There's obviously math, right, and the data analytics associated with it. So just find what you're passionate about. And I agree with Jamar, get the experience, right? Take an internship, work with research projects with industry, because that will be invaluable.
Let me add my answer to that. A couple of things. One, we will give you a very rigorous curriculum in propulsion. Don't worry about that. We will also allow you to do, as you saw in probably the overview, what's called the REU, the undergraduate experience. Not necessarily the REU, but you can work in a lab. And we have two of the leading scientists and engineers, faculty here at UCF that are working on that right now, the hypersonics lab and the Siemens Energy lab. So we can definitely get you connected to that. Not your first year. Please take time, get settled in, but then get into these labs, and you'll be learning the latest for sure. Go ahead, Michael.
What role do you think nuclear technologies will hold in our future?
Leidos, maybe?
I think as we look at alternate and clean energy sources, I think nuclear will play a role. It is, much cleaner in terms of emissions, as long as you don't have a reactor meltdown, than a lot of the other sources that are in play today. At Leidos, we have one practice in our commercial energy group that does a lot of work on infrastructure consulting, and they work on, different power plants, conventional, nuclear, getting all the required reviews and certifications. They do a lot of renewable energy like solar and wind. And so I still think there's going to be application for nuclear going forward, in addition to space aspects and military aspects for nuclear-powered equipment and devices.
Yeah. So this conversation, I'm not even kidding you, got me excused from the Thanksgiving table the other day, or the last Thanksgiving. So the answer to your question is, we at Siemens Energy believe there is a significant role to play in the nuclear industry. So we are a German-held company, so we're not building new nuclear facilities, but we have a huge service group who 2 years ago, they're calling it the nuclear renaissance. I mean, we've restructured in a way, the demand is off the charts. So it caught us a little bit by surprise, and we're responding well, but by all indications, the market is telling us high demand. It's not going away.
Great. Next question.
Hi, I was wondering, how often do you work with or develop autonomous machinery, vehicles, or technology?
So we have a number of autonomous ships, as well as drones. We're working hypersonics now, and I hope to partner with UCF on that going forward. But we've got a vessel called Sea Hunter that just did its maiden voyage across the Pacific from San Diego to Australia. And we see more and more application for autonomous vehicles, surface and subsurface as well.
I guess I could just say ditto for L3 Harris Technologies, and I mean in industry, right? There's a hunger for autonomous vehicles, long range missions. It's something that we're doing in pretty much every domain, airspace and sea.
Siemens Energy does as well. It doesn't fall under my area of responsibility, but marine and also drones.
I'll just add to that. I mean, obviously Lockheed has a big role in autonomous vehicles, but it's impacting all domains, right? So within the training and simulation world, right, we're looking at, well, how does a pilot of a manned air vehicle interact with autonomous vehicles that are in the sky as well, right? And so it's going to affect every aspect of the business.
I think for us, and not in my department, but probably to much lesser degree than the other groups, but for new attractions, autonomous vehicles are something that the creative team is involved in looking at. And then when I think about drones and the application there, we're doing a lot with our technical services groups to do even inspections with drones in high up areas or coasters or things like that. So we're constantly looking at the latest technologies and how they might apply to our business.
And I will add again a few comments to that. In my area of civil engineering, the future is autonomous. You're looking at smart connected cities. You're looking at drones for all different applications, particularly post-disaster construction inspections, looking at smart bridges with sensors in them and making sure that we're getting live data from them. So this is a very exciting area for all of us. I think that's a good question about where we're going with autonomous. And of course, drones, I mean, you can get one for yourself, but the drones are actually very sophisticated, and becoming a part of our life for sure. Next question. Yes.
Hi, how do you see AI and large language models impact on software development and engineering in your respective fields?
Yeah, we were waiting for a question on AI. We had some good discussions.
I'll make a quick comment on that. I think as a company, we're looking at generative AI, which is really out there, and most people think of generative AI. But for my team specifically, automated machine learning has taken a big part of what we have done, and it's absolutely amazing. True application of it, you know, saving my team huge amounts of time to do other more important things.
Yeah, and I'd say at Leidos, we've had a tech incubator around artificial intelligence, machine learning, for probably about 5 years before ChatGPT. So we were closely following that movement. But when you think about Gen AI and large language models and RAG piles and how do you get the information out, I think a lot of it's going to be focused on what they call prompt engineering now. How do you interact with that AI? How do you get the optimum result out? And I mentioned earlier, but we've always have to, on the flip side of that, it's not how you only interact with it, it's how do you protect your information to make sure you're getting good results? How do you make sure somebody, an adversary, isn't going in and poisoning your large language model? How do you make sure you're not getting hallucinations out of the AI? You want to make sure that you can trust that AI and that what it's telling you and what it's producing for you is valid.
We're using it at Siemens Energy as a predictive, so we have a whole field of action under R&D that is for condition-based service intervention, where we predict how a power plant's going to perform, work, input the factors, build a digital twin, and then use it predictively. So it's not as fancy and as advanced as some of the others, but we are using it as well.
Sure, and we started at L3 Harris on the journey of how do we integrate AI, generative AI, large language models into the capabilities that we deliver to our customers for missions. In the last 2 years, the pivot has been how do we help our developers, how do we help every discipline of engineering leverage the capabilities of AI in an assistant form, so co-pilots. So it's beyond just software, it's beyond software development. It's now how do I leverage AI for every engineer within my department and our company to have assistance in developing test plans and procedures, proposals, writing some of the other core documents or reviewing some of our core designs for challenges, for issues, for interferences in the mechanical space. So that's what we're focused on now, and by 2024, I've got one of my engineers in the room, but by 2024, all of our engineers within space and airborne systems, we want to be enabled with an AI assistant.
I'll just add, ditto. I think we're there where it's supporting, the various fields of engineering, and it will continue. It started with software, and it's moving throughout. As Jamar said, with proposal and documentation and things like that. Where we're really excited is the concept of the generative AI and how it impacts the domains that we work in. Right? How can we provide our customers that capability?
So let me comment for the parents who might be wondering how the academic world, the faculty are incorporating or engaging with AI. And we are very aware of the capabilities of AI and how it can replace work and learning. But we're incorporating it in a way that allows the student to use it, but we understand what is real work and what is not. We're trying to differentiate that. So there's a lot of work, time being spent and effort being spent in academia on how students can use AI. It's pretty clear. I gave this example earlier. I was giving a speech to a graduating senior class, and I prepared some remarks, and I went in and I read for the first 5 minutes or so from a sheet of paper, and it was the most boring, the dullest thing I've ever spoken in my life. And then I threw it away and I said, now let me that was ChatGPT. Now let me tell you what I really feel. And so that is a difference. And we're getting closer. It's getting better and better and better. But remember, it's just, all it's doing is sweeping everything else in the world and bringing it in and giving you an answer. And so academia is taking this very seriously. And we understand when you've used it, and we understand the value of it in certain situations. Accuracy cleaning things up, and so on, but not as creative work. And so there's a difference there. We're working on that. Next question. We have 2 minutes, which means maybe one more question.
Hey, how do you guys, do any of you use 3D modeling or 3D printing, and where do you see that going in the future?
Excellent question.
Yes, a lot. So at the Innovation Center, we have a lab that's got additive manufacturing, 3D printing, among other things that are available. And to be quite honest, with the challenges in the supply chain that we're currently having, we're being utilized a lot to help our service business get out of a tough spot. We 3D printed blades and vanes for gas turbines out of our Innovation Center. Now, that is not my charter and not my mission, but you don't say no when the business needs you, right? So plays a huge role. We have a whole group. I could give you all kinds of statistics about how we're located in 190 countries with presence for additive manufacturing everywhere. It's only going to continue, the different materials that we can 3D print with, et cetera.
I'm not sure if the Lockheed Martin video was played earlier. I know it was upstairs. You may have seen some of our simulators, and you saw pilots sitting in cockpits, right? We actually use additive manufacturing to produce those cockpits, right? Because they need to replicate the aircraft exactly, but of course they don't have to be flight safety. They sit on the ground inside of our simulators, and so it's a much more cost-effective, rapid way to develop. We also use it every day for prototyping, right? The integration of hardware and software. We're always out there 3D printing capabilities and putting it onto weapons and helmets and things like that to see how it fits before we take it into the manufacturing process.
Dave? No? Okay. So I'll add a little comment. You should be first in line for our visit to our innovation lab. You'll see that we do all of that here. We teach you that, but we also give you free time to go and do things in that lab. So please make sure we have tours of the lab on a rotating basis. Make sure you go ahead and take advantage of that opportunity. But yes, for us, all of those are very, very important for preparing you for these jobs. So before I conclude this, I've got a few logistic comments, but I want to first have you all thank the panel.